Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's a live stream. I'm here to just chit chat, talk about some things that some movies or shows and stuff I've been watching that didn't necessarily have time to do their own separate videos for because I'm too busy with all my other projects. I'm trying to sort of wind my channel down a bit, actually, to get to the point where I'm not doing as many videos, but there's so much I want to do. The series I'm in the middle of that I want to finish and cover and stuff like that, so I'm still wrapping those things up. So I don't have as much time to review things that I see and stuff like that. I know I've gotten several comments on my videos recently, like, why aren't you reviewing this show anymore? Why aren't you reviewing Vikings? Why don't you review the Orville? And it's just like, well, I just don't have time for that. So I just thought I'd come in real quick, share some of my thoughts for some of the stuff that I've been watching and whatnot. So first thing I want to talk about is the short treks. Star Trek Discovery released apparently these short treks. It's like short episodes of short films, are like 15, 20 minutes long. And the thing is that CBS All Access pretty much released these, and pretty much everyone's assuming, and it's probably a correct assumption, to try to get people to stay subscribed to CBS All Access, because probably tons of people have unsubscribed during the off season of Discovery, because the only reason we were subscribed was Discovery. So once it's off, no reason to be subscribed. So like, oh, let's release one of these short films, so it's only 20 minutes long, so it doesn't take that much production or money to produce, but we're going to try to keep everyone subscribed. So it's a gimmick, and Netflix owns the international rights for Star Trek Discovery. In fact, I've heard that Star Trek Discovery only has the budget that it has because that's a huge budget, mainly because of Netflix. That Star Trek Discovery would not be able to be made, or at least not be as grandiose and the huge special effects as it is, if it wasn't for Netflix owning the international rights. And I, as you know, currently anyway, live in New Zealand, so I live outside the US, so I watched Star Trek Discovery on Netflix, and Netflix didn't like the idea of these short treks. They didn't want to pay for them. I don't know what the deal, maybe CBS was asking too much, or maybe they just didn't think it was worth it. So in other words, if you live outside the US and Canada, it's hard. You can't really get these short treks unless you go by less than savory means, shall we say. And I just couldn't have been bothered, risking getting viruses on my computer to watch these things. And to be honest, like, I was never that interested, like, in the end. And I've watched some other videos on these short treks and what other people thought of it, and I kind of piqued my interest a little bit. But honestly, like, I'll watch Star Trek Discovery, and I'm going to review Star Trek Discovery weekly, and I'm curious for season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. But these short treks, it seems like a gimmick just to keep people on CBS All Access, so I'm just not interested in them. I did watch the first 2. Like, the first one I saw like a couple months ago when it first came out, with Tilly, and she meets this alien dude, or chick, whatever, and they get into shenanigans. I didn't like that episode. I thought it felt very compacted. They call it short trek, and it definitely felt very like it was like too much story trying to be crammed into a short amount of time. So I didn't identify with the characters. I didn't get identified with the relationship between Tilly and this other person. I didn't really, this new alien species seemed kind of interesting, but all the information was just thrown at you in a short amount of time, so I didn't really, I found that too overwhelming. She wasn't well developed, her species wasn't well developed, the story wasn't well developed, the relationship between them wasn't well developed, so, so it did seem like this should have been a full-length episode, and by having it be so short, it was a huge detriment. And it just didn't work. I just didn't like it. It just seemed like an excuse so I could have a short story to keep people subscribed to CBS All Access. And now I just watched the second one of these thingies last night. It was Calypso or something like that. It was like in the far thousands of years in the future, and Discovery is just abandoned and it's become like an artificial intelligence. And this dude comes aboard who's like dying, who's conscription into a war that he didn't want to fight in, and so he got injured from that war, and Discovery saves his life, and he sort of forms a romance with this artificial intelligence that's become Discovery. Now, I mean, this, I think, it worked better because obviously this story was more crafted for this format. This is the kind of thing I would expect from like a short story or a short film. It seemed like the runtime was crafted for the type of story they were trying to tell. But that being said, I still didn't find it all that interesting. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Star Trek novels, or just some Star Trek short stories that I've read in the written form. And it's very much in that vein where it's very abstract, very weird. And a lot of people have said that this really doesn't have a Star Trek or Discovery setting, that it could have been anything. It could be any generic science fiction that just so happened to say, hey, this is the Discovery, and that's the only connection it has to Star Trek. Now, I've heard some theories that perhaps the events or certain things will be referenced in the future seasons of Discovery, but I personally doubt it. I don't think it will be. I think this was just a cool exercise. Apparently, the guy who wrote this episode is a novelist, sci-fi novelist, and that I think really shows, because this comes off as just a generic, I wouldn't say generic, but a typical sci-fi short story that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Star Trek and Discovery. It just made it take place on the ship Discovery in order to keep that connection. We got Jerome in the chat. Hello, how's it going? You at least got one person in the chat. Anyway, so I didn't really care for that much. I didn't think it was awful. Like, I thought the first one was awful, but it was fine. Like, I still didn't really think it was worth my time. If I was subscribing to CBS All Access, it wouldn't be worth me getting a subscription just to see that. Now, so I haven't seen the latest two short treks. The one with Saru, I'm really curious to see that, but I couldn't find that. As I said, it's hard for me to find. Because of what my brother said about it, because he hated it, because he thought it ruined Saru's character and backstory, and was completely inconsistent with how he was established in season one. And I tend to agree with my brother on most things. So I'm actually I want to see this just out of curiosity, but I have a strong feeling that I'm going to hate it as well. Because I hate inconsistencies like that. And from what I hear, and not just from him, but from other people, what happens in this short story or this short episode, it does sound very inconsistent to me to how the Kelpians have been established. And I think even without having seen it, I already kind of want the show to disregard this backstory, because it seems bullshit and it seems inconsistent with anything that's been established about the Kelpians. But whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a chance to see it. Oh, and we also got Figgin. Sorry, I can't pronounce your username. I'm so bad at pronouncing usernames. Sorry. Figgin Schaus. No, Shao, there's no S. Shao? Figgin Chow 87. I'm sorry for butchering your username, but hello. How are you? Anyway. And the other one is Harry Mudd short trek, which I hear is actually decent, even though I don't like Harry Mudd and I don't like this iteration of Harry Mudd. Apparently it's still good sort of episode from itself. And from what I hear, it looks good. So I'm curious to see that as well. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to watching these. Maybe when I move to America. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, because a lot of people, like most channels that cover Star Trek, would stop what they're doing to cover these short treks, and everyone was talking about these short treks. There's videos about them everywhere. Short trek, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the interest isn't there for me. And this is speaking as someone who actually likes Discovery. It's kind of ironic because a lot of people who are covering these short treks don't even like Discovery. And a lot of them cover it just so they can bash it and say how much Discovery sucks. Um, but I actually, I do like Discovery, but I don't think it's perfect. I'm not actually as high on as I was after season one. Once I had time to think about season one as a whole, my opinion of it actually went down a bit, where I'm not as high on season one as probably my brother is, honestly. But I still liked it. I'm not one of those people who's saying it's awful and it sucks and all that. In fact, like a lot of criticism I hear people throw at Discovery, I think applies more to the Abrams films. Star Trek 2009. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is just a shameless cash grab. But it doesn't have anything to Star Trek. It defiles everything Star Trek stands for." I'm like, dude, that's 2009. You're talking about Star Trek 2009. You're not talking about Discovery. I mean, Discovery does that to like maybe a fourth or even at like an eighth of a degree that the fucking Abrams abomination does. But anyway, getting off topic. What? Oh, Marilyn Bentley. Hello. How's it going? Yeah, it's good to see you as well. And since you're here, why don't I just move on? I'll move topics from Star Trek and I'll talk about the Game of Thrones. See. Hello, am I here? Can you guys can you guys hear me now? Is my sound connected again? Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I'll just wait a few seconds so the chat catches up because I don't want to start talking if you guys can't even hear me. Yeah, if you can hear me, what I was saying when my sound went out was, oh, cool. You guys can hear me. Great. Because what I was saying when my sound went out was, hey, can you guys still hear me? Because I heard like my microphone's very shitty and it made it sound like it was disconnecting. I was actually assuming that the sound would go to my default microphone, so it would still hear me. It would just be shitty sound, but apparently it was no sound, which is probably better than having shitty sound. But anyway, hopefully I'm all good now. Cool. So, yes, as I was saying before, so rudely interrupted by my crappy computer, is let me move on to Game of Thrones Season 8 teaser, which was just dropped. When was it dropped? Like yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that. And I'm not going to do a whole video on that. Redneck Lover Bob, good to see you. $2 for a new mic. Unfortunately, it's not the mic that's the issue, it's the computer. So I actually need a whole new computer because my computer is faulting on all the connecting. But your super chat is very much appreciated, Bob. Thanks so much. Anyway, yes, and Nancy T. Hello, how's it going? Anyway, cool. So what was I? Oh yeah, so Game of Thrones. Season 8 teaser. just dropped, and I'm actually kind of excited for Game of Thrones now. Even though, like, those who know me, you know what I think of season 7. I thought it was a dog pile of dog shit. I honestly believe, like, I still strongly think that it's going to be very hard for season 8 not to suck. I mean, because of where season 7 left off. Because I think they dug themselves in such a deep hole at the end of season 7, it would be nearly impossible to get out of it to make season 8 good after how badly they messed up the ending of season 7, particularly that whole dragon white thing. Like, there's no way that's going to be good. And when I do I'm going to review every episode of season 8, of course. And when I do my reviews, I am going to refer to the Night King as Dr. Colossus. Dr. Colossus was like his character from The Simpsons, that it was supposed to represent this very stereotypical cartoonish villain. I'm Dr. Colossus! So that's what I'm going to call Night King from now on. Anyway, but I'm actually kind of excited for season 8. I do have some glimmer of hope. Maybe I'm just setting myself up for disappointment, but I have some glimmer of hope that season 8 might actually be good. Maybe, at the very least, maybe it'll be decent. I think when I asked my brother what percentage chance he gives that season 8 is going to be good, not totally suck, he gave it like a 50% chance. Or no, I think he was lower than that, maybe 30%. I can't remember. I think I'd put it probably at 30, 40%, maybe 50, but I have some hopes. Maybe 30, 40%. I would say maybe a 50% chance that it's decent, that it's okay, that it doesn't totally suck. Maybe, but I'm saying if it's going to be good, like as good as previous seasons, probably like a 20, 30% chance. Because I just don't, because as I said, they dug themselves in such a deep hole at the end of season 7 that I think is almost impossible to get out of. But seeing this teaser actually does have me excited. Now, as I said, I don't have that much to say about a teaser because it doesn't have any actual footage from the season, which is actually good because it's a way to get people pumped for the season without spoiling anything. But I'm not going to do a whole video about it. Because it's just, Arya and Jon and Sansa in the Crypts of Winterfell, and you get the voiceovers, and then it ends with the Night King. So it's just like, just saying that. But it does have me. I'm excited about several things in season 8. I want to see the interactions. I want to see Jon and Arya. It was good to see them together in this teaser. So I want to see what they were, because we haven't seen the reunion between them yet. I want to see how the 3 siblings interact. I want to see Daenerys in Winterfell and Jaime in Winterfell and how they interact with these and how they are going to fight against the White. Now, I have been avoiding spoilers to the death, though, because I'm hoping that spoilers kind of what ruined season 7 a bit for me, because I knew in advance of these shitty things are going to happen. So hopefully I've been avoiding spoilers for season 8 to hopefully make it better. Anyway, some things I think might be good about season 8, why I think season 8 might be good, is for one thing, they took 2 years. I love the fact that they took a year off and they took 2 years to do just 6 episodes. And it seems to me, I'm not 100%, but it seems to me like they didn't start filming till like almost a year after season 7 finished, which means they took the time to write the episodes, which to me is the most important thing. Like, it's all good that they took a lot more time filming, they took a lot more time doing post-production because they have a lot of special effects that are really expensive and whatnot. So that's all well and good. But to me, the most important thing, because here's the thing, Game of Thrones is always, even season 7 was amazing as far as production value goes. So that's why I'm not concerned about production value, acting, special effects. Because even in season 7, that thing was top notch. What wasn't top notch was the writing. So that is what I was hoping that they actually spent more time on. Because season 7 did feel like they rushed the writing. A lot of the episodes, particularly the last 3, felt like first drafts. Like, it could have been good if they went back and worked on it and then refined it. And it seems to me they were on a time crunch where they just pushed out what they had because they didn't have time to do a better job. So that's what has me a bit hopeful for season 8. That hopefully, since they took that time off, that they took the time to perfect the scripts, to work on the scripts, to get them golden and good to go before they actually started filming. Also, directing was an issue in season 7. The penultimate episode, Beyond the Wall, which most people say is the worst episode. I actually say the worst episode of the season was episode 7, but Dragon White. It's a fucking cartoon. Here, I did that just for you, Marilyn, if you're still watching. It's a fucking cartoon. Anyway, anyway, I'm got so messed up but the directing was an issue as well. So why I'm also hopeful for season 8 is that they got the good directors. They got David Nutter, who did the Red Wedding. He did the Fighting Pits Daenerys thing, which I absolutely loved. Walk of Shame, and then they got Miguel Chaputnik, hard to pronounce his name, but he, of course, is well known for doing Hard Home and the Battle of the Bastards. So the best, battles. So he's doing 2 episodes, and the other one's doing 2 episodes, and Dan and Dave are doing the finale, which actually has me hopeful because I think Dan and Dave deserve to do the finale. They are, not the best directors, but it's their baby, so I think it makes perfect sense that they're directing the finale. So, but the fact that they got the 2 most awesome, actually no, one's doing 3 episodes. I can't remember which one's doing 3, but one of them is doing 3 episodes, the other one's doing 2 episodes, and Dan Dave doing the finale. So the fact they got the 2 best directors to split up the season between them, that does give me a lot of high hope as well. But as I said, they dug themselves in such a hole in season 7. It's hard to see how they could possibly get themselves out of it, but I don't know. I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna see. Hopefully it gets any better. Cool. Hopefully I'm still alive. I haven't known you guys in the chat for a while. Anyway, let me move on to a different topic. Let's talk about Bandersnatch, Black Mirror, the Bandersnatch movie. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend you see it. If you haven't seen my review on it, I'd recommend you watch my review. Is spoiler free. I'm dropping another review that's full of spoilers, tons of spoilers, for every possible ending. I'm dropping that tomorrow. And here's the thing. So I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm 2 videos on it, so don't really need to talk about it here. But the one thing I was going to say about it is that if you watch my top 10 movies video, it was my number 1 movie of the year. I love it. I think it's a masterpiece, and it's been getting mixed reviews. It's to be positive. And I have some friends that I hang out with who they hated this film, and so I kind of got into arguments with them about it. And I've seen a lot of negative. Some channels I watched, this guy was like, "Oh, I hate it. It was a piece of shit," and some other reviews were like, "Yeah, it's okay, but it's it was too much of a gimmick. It tried to be too meta. It was just a way to promote Netflix." And boy, howdy, do I strongly disagree with that. Very strongly disagree. I would describe that view as a very surface level view, that you're not looking beneath the surface to see all the deep complexity that is underneath, which is what I think is a masterpiece, honestly. So my reaction to this is kind of similar to what happened with the movie Interstellar. Now, I think it's been several years since Interstellar came out, almost 5 years, and 4.5 anyway. But I'm able to talk about it a bit more now because time passed. But when that movie first came out, when that movie ended, I was couldn't even move. I was stuck in the theater because I was so affected. I was so in awe. I thought it was a beautiful film. It was awesome. It was it touched my heart. It was almost not a perfect film because I did have some issues with it, but it was great. And if you know anything, a lot of people hated it, especially when that film first came out. They hated it with a passion. People were spewing venom at it. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, people only like this film because it's Christopher Nolan, the Batman fanboys." I didn't even like the Christopher Nolan Batman films, to be honest. I think they're overrated. The Dark Knight, I do. And I loved Interstellar, so it pissed me off when people would be like, "Oh, you only like this because it's Christopher Nolan." No, that's bullshit. Plenty of Christopher Nolan I don't like. I just like it because I liked it, because it spoke to me and I thought it was a good film. Now, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I had to, at one point with Interstellar, I had to sort of disconnect. I couldn't even argue with people about it because it touched my heart and I loved it so much that I was just like, fine, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not going to engage you with not liking it because I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with arguing about it. I can't deal with because I loved it. If you don't love it, fine, whatever. We'll just leave it at that. And that's kind of how I'm feeling with Bandersnatch. I don't really feel like arguing with people or engaging with people about it. If you don't like it, fine. You don't like it. We'll just agree to disagree and leave it at that. I absolutely loved it. Anyway, Jesse says, will season 8 be the best of the entire series, or will it make you love season 7? Tune in to find out. Well, I don't know about that, Jesse. I'd say the answer to both those questions is a firm no. I was saying maybe it might be as good as the previous seasons, but will it be the best of the series? I'm sorry. There's no possible way. Maybe after season 8 is finished, I'll come back and watch this and I'll eat my words and I'll be like, oh, I was totally wrong. God forbid. God, I hope that would be the case, but God, sincerely doubt it. At the very least, I think the best I could, in my wildest dreams, could hope to think after season 8 is done is, wow, that was as good as some of the previous seasons. That's the best I could hope for. And even that, I think, is highly, 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 highly unlikely. But saying that's the best season of the entire show, it's just not going to fucking happen. The only way that could possibly happen is if it starts to move like, just kidding, there's no white dragon. Because just the fact of having a white dragon makes it impossible for me to think it's the best season. Anyway. So how many seasons of The Expanse do you think we'll get? The scuttlebutt, or the rumors, is 7. That's what I heard. Some people have been saying, throwing out different numbers. I have no idea where they're getting these numbers from. Like, some people said 8, some people said 5. I don't see where they're getting this from. But I say 7. Because that's what I heard. I heard the producers, the showrunners, say they would ideally would want to do 7 seasons. Now, if you watch my spoiler prediction video for Expanse season 4, I laid out exactly how I thought, for those who've read the books, how I thought they could finish the show in 7 seasons and how it would make sense. Basically, season 4 would cover book 4, but also introduce some of the book 5 material, and then season 5 will cover the rest of the book 5 material and all book 6, because book 5 and 6 are kind of 2 parts of the same thing. So I reckon they introduced some of that in season 4, but finished off in season 6. Season 5, sorry, and then season 6 will cover the first half of book 7, 8, and 9, and then season 7 will cover the second half of book 8 and 9, if that makes sense. Because book 7, 8, and 9 are also, I'm assuming 9 because that hasn't come out yet, so I don't know. But I'm assuming that 7, 8, and 9 are a 3-part telling one story. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 8 will conclude the story, 9 will be standalone. But either way, I think that 7 seasons, basically. Short answer to that. Anyway, Nancy says, got to run, but wanted to stop by and say hi and hit the like button. Have a great rest of your week. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. Let's see. Amazing show and books. Your glasses keep sliding down. Yeah, I know. I need new glasses. Anyway, let me talk about Narcos. Now, those who are really observant and really familiar with my channel, I will know that I really like Narcos. Season 2 made my top 10 best shows of the year. Season 3 made my top 10 best shows of the year. And those who are really observant, as I said, will note that this new Narcos season, Narcos Mexico, did not make my top 10. And it's not because I didn't see it, because I did see it. I just didn't think it was all that good. Like, it didn't make my disappointing list, or like, it didn't think it was the most disappointing season ever, because I didn't think it was that bad. It just wasn't a masterpiece. It really lost a lot, I think. In fact, like, I was really caught off guard the fact that they completely rebooted it, basically. Like, they went back in time to the 70s or 80s to have it run alongside the Narcos season 1, but show from the Mexican perspective. Because at the end of season 3, they give you the impression that they're going to have, what's his face? Javier Pena, played by the Red Viper of Dawn. What's his name? Blanking on his name now. But they're going to have him go to Mexico in season 4, would then follow him in Mexico, and like, so season 3 ended in like the late 90s, so you assume it would follow him in Mexico throughout the late 90s and 2000s. But instead of doing that, they went all the way back to the 70s and just rebooted it, which, first off, that I wasn't a fan of that. I thought we were just going to continue onward. I didn't think we were going to reboot it, but call it Narcos Mexico. And they kept the same theme music, but it was totally different cast of characters. Although you got some cameos from some characters in season 1, which I enjoyed. I think that was interesting. But I just didn't think the season overall didn't work for me as well. Like season 1 and 2, and maybe I have a higher opinion than most people do, but season 1 and 2 and 3 actually, I thought were masterpieces. Like, it's probably some of the best, like, true life, like, gangster style films that I've ever seen. And I was blown away. I was really impressed by it. And season 3, I think it really changed up the format again. And as maybe some people didn't like that because it didn't focus on Pablo Escobar seasons 1 and 2. That they switched the focus, was it wasn't entirely about the Narcos themselves. It was more about this informant. And I love that as well. But this Narcos Mexico, to me, it seemed like it was treading the ground that it already tread, but to a lesser extent, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, it was interesting getting a different story, getting the Mexican side rather than the Colombian side of things. But honestly, none of the characters were as interesting to me. I didn't actually like the narrative as well, like the talking or whatever. But yes. Anyway, that's what I thought of Narcos Mexico. I didn't bother doing a review for that because I didn't have much time. I'm sure not many people were watching anyway. But I wasn't as impressed with it as it was the first 2 seasons. Anyways, let's see. The reverse said, I didn't really care for the first season of The Expanse. It had great world building, but really dull characters, a table setting story. It got good in season 2 and great in season 3. Well, the reverse, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Agree to disagree. I do agree that the second and third season were better than the first season, but I don't agree that the first season wasn't that good. I did care for it. I particularly, like, I think the first season was definitely their weakest. If you listen to my brother, he would say that the third season was their weakest, which is, I guess, the opposite of what you're saying. But like season 1, and I've seen this several times. I read the book, so I know a lot about it. But season 1, I think, had a strong start, dipped in the middle, had a boring middle, and a strong finish. Very strong finish, like even stronger than the start. Because the first episode of The Expanse was good, but the second and third were kind of boring. Fourth episode was amazing, but then it dipped and had really some filler episodes in the middle of the season. But towards the end, it had a really strong finish. Episode 8, 9, and 10 were great. But season 2 was definitely amazing. It was definitely, like, that blew me away, particularly the episode 5 with Miller going on to Eros. Wow. Still, I think one of the best hours of television ever. So season 2 absolutely blew me away. Season 3 I did like, but not as much as season 2. I wasn't as impressed. Season 3 had good episodes and good moments, but when I look at it on the whole, the structure of the plot is kind of not very well structured. It's kind of all over the place. And especially the second half of season 3, as a book reader, I felt they rushed through of the third book, which was my favorite book. It was the book that I loved the most. I was really waiting for them to adapt it, and I thought they did a poor job of adapting it, to be quite honest. And I do think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the showrunners had a feeling that the show was going to be canceled, so they were rushing to get to the end point of season 3 so the show could end on a high point. Now, I know other people said to me, well, they didn't know the show was going to be canceled. Yeah, I know. I'm not saying they knew that the show would be canceled, but I'm sure they could test the wind. I think they knew which way the wind was blowing, and I think they knew it was a strong possibility that the show would be canceled, because when they thought the show was going to be canceled, they said, oh, don't worry, we're not going to end on a cliffhanger. We're going to end on a good stopping point for the series. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was done by design, that they purposely ended season 3 at a stopping point because they knew it was a strong possibility that they might not get a season 4. And frankly, I think they had to rush to get to that point, which I think calls some poor pacing. My opinion. I still did really like season 3, though. If you saw my top 10 shows of 2018, it was number 4 on my list. But my top 10 shows of 2017, The Expanse was number 1 on my list, season 2. I love season 2, masterpiece. Anyway, let's see. The verse says, hi, we do that quite a bit. Agreeing to disagree, yes. CQB was the best of the season. Godspeed and Home may be the best back-to-back episodes. Perhaps I'm understating the second season. I remember the first 5 episodes were tremendous. Next 5 were decent, and the last 3 were excellent. After when they started to get into the book 2 material of season 2, they did have couple of filler episodes. Like, I'm going through them recently on my book to show comparison videos, and I can see, they did kind of stretch it out in a little towards the middle of season 2 there. But I still love season 2 overall. Have you read Need Gear? No, I can't say that I have, Riz. If you're talking to me. Not whatever. X-Man, you look completely different than I imagined. It's great to finally see you in person, bro. Well, thank you. I have done a lot of other videos like this where you can see my face. Maybe you haven't seen any of my recent Star Trek videos because I show my face there all the time because CBS takes my videos down if I use their pictures for too long. Fuck CBS. Anyway, and I've done lots of live streams, but if you're just getting to know my channel, then yes, hi, here I am. Anyway, the Negro Children. Okay, well, maybe I'll check that out. I haven't heard of that. Let me get to my next topic here, which is Vikings. I don't know if anyone here watches Vikings, but I used to do reviews for Vikings. They were actually quite popular. My channel was all about getting the views, getting the money, then I would be reviewing Vikings. But it's not. It's about reviewing what I'm interested in and what I want to talk about. And frankly, I found it really hard to find enough to say about Vikings week to week. I do really enjoy the show, but I just don't have that much to cover in the videos, and I find I end up just recapping or sort of going on tangents. But I'm actually really enjoying this latest season. I think I've heard. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Picard versus Kirk says, "Have you seen Titans DC on Netflix?" No, I haven't, and I'm not really interested to see it, to be honest. The verse says, yes, CBS is a horrible company. They've punished the world with over a decade of the Big Bang Theory. Yes, absolutely true. Rez K, can you speak German? I can only say my name which is your cunt. No, I cannot speak German if you're talking to me again. Not at all. Anyway, speaking of CBS, now I'm getting distracted for Vikings, sorry, but CBS, you might have heard a lot of YouTube channels that hate Discovery and think it's an abomination, piece of shit, whatever, have covered to death that there's a lawsuit going on with this indie game called Tardigrades that suing Discovery because they think it's plagiarized them, basically. And from what I understand, it does look very much to be the case. Now, I don't hate Discovery. I don't want to see Discovery canceled. I want to see Star Trek continued. I'm not a Discovery hater. I'm not a Kurtzman hater. I hope that I'm very looking forward to the Picard show they're coming out with. But I hope all that being said, I hope that this lawsuit wins. I'm pulling for this indie gamer because it does look like he does have a strong case. I mean, it's some of the coincidences are like just too strong to be dismissed as simple coincidence. But the main reason why I hope he wins this case is because CBS fucking deserves it. Now, I don't think this like these Discovery haters are like, oh, I hope they cancel Discovery and this because they win the case, they won't be able to do Discovery anymore. I don't think that's going to happen. No universe. Even if he does win this case, I don't think it's going to make it so they're going to have to take Discovery. Discovery's not going anywhere. Sorry, guys. It's not. It's just simply not going to happen. But even if it did happen, I still hope this guy wins this case. It's not going to happen. But I hope this guy wins this case because CBS are fucking assholes. Totally against what they were doing with taking down the fan, the Axanar and the other like fan created Star Trek material. Even though I'm not interested in Axanar, some people were like, "Oh, it'd be way better than Discovery." No, it wouldn't. But it was just a fan created thing. I don't think it would be way better than Discovery, but it's still an asshole move to take that down and to take down like Star Trek Continues and other things. And of course, what they've been doing to me and other YouTube creators, like they've taken down tons of my videos just for using still images. Like there's a couple of videos I only use still image for 20 seconds, which is very, very like strongly protected under fair use. Do they give a shit? No, they don't give a shit. They took a couple of the videos down. They just don't take the monetization away. Although I would say at least 20% of my Star Trek videos had their monetization taken away from CBS. And I do have a lot of Star Trek videos. But a lot of them were outright banned, taken down just for having still images for 20 seconds. And coincidence, the particular videos that happened to be banned, happened to be taken down, were negative reviews. Like my Star Trek Voyager Season 7 review. I didn't like Season 7 of Voyager. Season 3, I absolutely hated it. That was an abomination. Negative reviews. What a shock. CBS takes them down. Now, I had put them back up. I just took out all the images. So it's just me talking, just my face. So they can't do shit about it anymore. Or if I didn't have my face, then I'll just put up a random space picture that has nothing to do with CBS so they can't come at me. So I put them back up so you can still find those videos on my channel. They just had to be re-uploaded. So they lost all the original likes and comments and whatnot, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But yeah, CBS are assholes. They break the law by not respecting fair use constantly. They're constantly going after fans. And it's even when they take down videos that are negative, overall, these are Star Trek fans. These are people who are talking about Star Trek. They're promoting the Star Trek franchise. Even if they're putting down Discovery or putting down something in particular, it's still overall getting people talking, invested about Star Trek. So not only is it asshole, it's bad business. It is bad business, especially to attack these fan-created films and take them down and shit like that. That is, you're attacking your own fan base. That is bad business. It's bad business. So fuck CBS. So I hope I hope this lawsuit wins because I want to see CBS taken down a peg. But it's not going to take Discovery off the air. Just don't stop dreaming about that. It's not going to happen. Anyway, let's see what they're saying in the chat about this. Ooh. Also, get on that Penske file, Mark. This needs to happen. Well, don't talk to me. Talk to Wes. I don't control the Penske file. I think he's. I don't think he's having guests, commentators on anymore. Like, if you watch his Next Generation, he had like guests from other channels and stuff. He seems to be wanting to do Deep Space Nine with his friend. Was it Clay? Yeah, and they're a good duo. So I don't think I need to go in there. I don't think it needs to happen. But again, it's not even up to me. But I think he's happy just doing it with Clay, and it's a good podcast. I still check it out to recommend it happening. I might have him on here though. Again, I'll see about that happening. But anyway, let's see. Sorry to hear your argument. Complicated. I don't get this. Okay, Star Trek Discovery has writers who worked on masterpieces such as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, and Batman and Robin. You're mainly just talking about like Alex Kurtzman and what's his name, Robert Orci or Roger Orci or whatever his name is. They're also good writers. It's not just like they're not the writers of the show anyway. They're the producers. But yes. But Alex Kurtzman also worked on Fringe, which was a good show. Well, for the first 3 seasons, it was a good show. He was the showrunner of Fringe. So I don't completely dismiss him, but yeah, I know Amazing Spider-Man 2 and all that other shit. But it also has some good writers. It has an author. But anyway, they get Brian Fuller instead. I'm seriously baffled on who CBS decides to hire to write for Star Trek. Picard vs. Kirk says, not a hater of Discovery, but Orville feels more like Star Trek for me. Well, not to me. I've covered this in my Orville review, so I won't cover this here. Orville, it feels like Star Trek because it's just a ripoff. Anyway, I'm just ripping off Star Trek. Anyway, X-Men, do you have any alternative passions, or is your passion related to YouTube? You seem to have an incredible intellect related to critical analysis and literary text. Well, thank you, although I think that is a bit too high of a praise, although it does humble me to hear that praise. I would love to get into sort of more analysis. I did study this at college or university, as they refer to it here. I did study critical analysis and media studies and analyzing pieces of media, so I would like to think I'm good at it, but maybe my presentation could use some work. But anyway, I do appreciate the compliment. The verses, I don't really like Star Trek Discovery at all. It's not as bad as early Enterprise or anything, but it's not good television in my opinion. That's fair, and I totally agree that early Enterprise is worse, as long as we can agree on that. Yeah. But I don't think Discovery is terrible. I think it's okay. I do think it did have a lot of issues, and a lot of the trouble behind the scenes really showed in season 1, and it does make me skeptical about season 2. But then again, with pretty much any Star Trek show, you got Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, well, not Voyager. Voyager was different, but Enterprise, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise all got awesome in season 3. Yes, Deep Space Nine got awesome in season 3. Reverse, admit it. Anyway, all these shows, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, all got amazing season 3s. So I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for Discovery season 3 to happen. I'll get through season 2, which had a lot of issues behind the scenes, so that probably is going to have some issues that translate on screen as well. But hopefully season 3, they can keep up the strong Star Trek tradition of season 3 being the good one. If there is a season 3, which I'm sure there will be. Let's see. I've never seen Fringe. Would you guys recommend it? I've heard it peaks in its 3rd season. Well, not necessarily peaks, because season 2 is good as well. But it gets bad after season 3. So the first 3 seasons, yes. The first season is almost like an X-Files ripoff. It really much feels like a different version of the X-Files. But honestly, I like Fringe better than the X-Files. And I've said this before. I did think Fringe was a better version of that type of show. But as I said, it's only good for the first 3 seasons. Season 4 is a complete abomination. It is one of the worst seasons of television. Ruined the show. And season 5 was okay. It tried to make up for the massive shithole that season 4 was. Somewhat worked, somewhat didn't. But mainly it was totally inconsistent. And I got in arguments with my brother about this, but it was totally inconsistent with the first 3 seasons. It's completely changed the nature of who the observers are. I'm sorry, it totally did. He was saying, no, it doesn't change. We just only saw a few scientists. We didn't see all the observers. Bullshit. It changed the entire nature of the observer. But anyway, You don't know what I'm talking about because you haven't seen it. But I would recommend watching the first 3 seasons. Let's see. Yes, even my beloved TNG and DC9 took a while to get good, but that was a different time. We have higher standards today, I feel. I don't agree. I'll tell you what. I disagreed with Wes on the Penske file when he said that he didn't think it was an apt comparison when people were saying all season 1 of Star Trek is not good. He was saying it didn't really apply to Discovery. I humbly and respectfully disagree. I think that it absolutely applies. The fact that we're in modern times, I don't think that changes that. I think it's still a precedent that's still just as valid today as it was in 1987 or 1994. But anyway, just my opinion. Picard versus Kirk says, heard that Picard is going to be in the Kelvin timeline. Any truth to that? No. There is no truth to that whatsoever. That's just rumors and bullshit. People said the same, Discovery's going to be in the Kelvin. People just throw shit out there. Not going to be in the Kelvin timeline, but it's probably going to have a different feel and a different aesthetic look that probably is going to more closely resemble the Kelvin timeline than it resembles the TNG show. But that's just the way the production company is now. It's just the way the studios are now. It doesn't mean that it's set in the Kelvin timeline. That's total bullshit. What it is going to do, though, is going to take a storyline from Star Trek 2009, which, Star Trek 2009. But it is going to take a storyline because Star Trek 2009 did establish that the wrong. So it's going to relate to Star Trek 2009, take a storyline from it, but in the prime timeline, because the prime timeline was touched on in 2009 with Spock's backstory, and so that's what it's going to build off of. You guys lost me. Yeah. Anyway, I think I made that point. Actually, I think the Kelvin timeline is dead. I think that because you heard in the news that Star Trek 4, as they're calling it, the new Abrams verse movie, there's supposed to be a sequel to Beyond, that's been canceled, that's been scrapped or put on hold indefinitely, and it sounds like the rights might go back to CBS because Paramount's sort of sharing the rights with CBS at the moment, and because of the deal they have, it has to be set in. That's why the whole reason why I did the Kelvin timeline is because the deal they had was it couldn't resemble the original Star Trek too much. They had to change like 50% of it or some bullshit like that. So I actually hope that these rumors are true, that the Kelvin timeline is dead, because I think the Kelvin timeline was a horrible idea. I think it ruins people's perception of Star Trek. It needs to die. This whole concept of having a different timeline to set a movie or show in it is bullshit, and we need to get over that, get rid of that. Fuck that. There's only one timeline, the prime timeline, or as I like to call it, Star Trek. Fuck everything else. Fuck the timeline. Anyway, James Bush, good to see you. Says aesthetics are probably the least of Star Trek Discovery's worries. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll agree with you there. The aesthetics are actually really good. It's the stories that need work. The reverse says many issues with Discovery could have been fixed if they just set it after Deep Space Nine. Voyager, it would have been fixed continuity issues. I'll be honest, I don't really have any that strong issues with the continuity of Discovery as many other people seem to do. Honestly, especially going through Voyager again, I think Voyager is still a worse offender of continuity issues than Discovery. Come at me, but I still very strongly believe that. And I think every single Star Trek show, from the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, everything, all had continuity issues. All of them. So people like pointing at Discovery, in fact, this is just my opinion, but I think a lot of, because I have issues with Discovery too, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's perfect. I think it had a lot of issues, but a lot of the complaints I hear about Discovery, to me, what I hear is, what I keep hearing, what it translates to is it's new, it's new, it's new, it's new. Like sometimes I hear people complaining about Discovery, and that's all I hear. It's new, it's new, it's new, it's new. Because there is a historical precedent for people to attack things that are new, especially if it's working off of old established material. And once it becomes not new, it becomes more accepted. Next Generation is a perfect example of this, because Next Generation, there were protests. Like the only reason I would say that the backlash of Discovery is worse is because of the internet. The internet wasn't a thing in 1987, but if it was, I would even go as far as to say the backlash against Next Generation would have been stronger and worse than the backlash against Discovery. This isn't my Star Trek. Doesn't have Kirk. What the fuck are you having an old British guy on a captain of my ship? But 20 years later, Next Generation's a masterpiece. It's an accepted Star Trek piece of lore. People love it just as much as Star Trek. So basically, their main complaint in 1987 was it's new, it's new, it's new, it's new, and a lot of complaints. This translates to I don't want to say it, but I have to say it. Star Wars. There, I'm not talking about it anymore. God, it's so fucking toxic. Anything like all these new franchises, most of the complaints boil down to it's new, it's new, it's new, it's new. My opinion. I know you disagree with me, whatever, but and that's not to say there aren't valid complaints against Discovery, because as I said, I make them myself. I think there are definitely issues with Discovery. It's not perfect. There are definitely valid complaints against Discovery, but I think the way I would say, I think people are being too harsh on it because it's new, and that is the underlining subtext to a lot of complaints that I hear about. But just my opinion. Mainly the continuity thing, because as I said, every single Star Trek show from back to Next Generation to Deep Space Nine, everything had continuity issues. They were inconsistent with themselves, to be honest. And that's because they had tons of different writers, tons of different people working behind the scenes. And some of them, like Brenna Brega and fucking Joe Menosky, I'll call them out in particular, did not give a shit. And Joe Menosky does work on Discovery as well, so that's a bad thing, honestly. But they did outright said that they don't give a fuck about continuity. Brian Berger and Joe Menosky outright said we do not care about continuity. So this is not a new thing. It's not new for Star Trek to be inconsistent with lore and continuity. It's been there the whole entire time. But anyway, off on a tangent. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. I might not be able to cover as many topics as I wanted to, but you guys want to talk more about Star Trek and Game of Thrones, which is good, or The Expanse, which is good because it's all my channel's about anyway. But anyway, let's get back to some of these comments that I missed. Wow. Trek has had a rich lore. Many sci-fi writers would kill to have a universe that was well developed, and the writers in the 09 just threw it all out away. Shameful. I do agree. And Matthias says, yeah, I also found Mark via searching for Lost reviews. Well, I hope you enjoy my Lost reviews. Speaking of that, Lost, I just want to get sidetracked for a bit. I'm going to be doing a live stream not this weekend, but next weekend. So a week and a half from now, with Darren from These Reviews. If you know him, I did live streams. Then we're going to talk about Lost. We're going to cover every episode of the first 2 seasons of Lost. I think we'll make that spoiler free. So if you haven't seen beyond season 2, we won't give away spoilers beyond season 2, but we will give away spoilers for the first 2 seasons. So if you have, we're going to do Lost season 2 next week. I'll make an announcement when we get closer to the time. Anyway, let's see. Picard vs. Kirk says, man, I'm looking forward to Dune remake. I'm not. I've never really been a fan of Dune, to be honest. I read the books and they weren't really for me. Next Gen was reviled, right? At first. It was. Let's see. The reverse says, I found him because of his Tacking Into the Wind review. He gave it a 10, and I realized he had good taste. Unlike him, though, I like and don't love Game of Thrones. Fair enough. I can kind of see that point of view more. Mark, do you have a favorite character list from Lost? Jeez. Okay. Let me get back to you on that one. The reverse says, yes, conceptually, then the reviewers noticed that the show was also complete crap. Mm, mm, I, I don't know, maybe. I don't think the show is complete crap. It has its issues, sure, but I don't think it's complete crap. Let's see. Matthias, The Leftovers is also very good, but I think Lost is more unique. I like Game of Thrones in the first 5 seasons, but the 6th and 7th season totally jumped the shark. I disagree with you about the 6th season. I think the 6th season was awesome. I think the 6th season of Game of Thrones is great. 7th season, okay, totally agree with you there. But I just don't, it's something I was thinking about more. I just totally don't hold, I just totally disagree with people saying it started getting bad in season 6. I think there were a lot of good things, a lot of great things about season 6. Season 7, okay, yeah, totally jumped the shark then. But The Leftovers, as far as that goes, like, I don't know. Like, Lost did have sort of more, it was more complexity. It had more magic. It had a lot more fascinating, interesting things to it. But the one thing The Leftovers does have over Lost is that it ended well. Is that it was short and sweet. It got to the point. It didn't meander. It didn't go on for too long. It stayed true to the characters, and it told a very complete, great story that had a very strong ending, as opposed to Lost, which totally jumped the shark in its 6th season. 6th season sucked. Anyway, let's see. Math004 says, Mark, who will sit on the Iron Throne at the end of the last episode? I don't know. No one. There will be no Iron Throne. That's my prediction. James says, man, my problem with STD, and it's actually that's just the made up initials that people who hate Discovery come up with, because you don't call Voyager STV, do you? But anyway, beside the point, my issue with Discovery is just the writing being poor, as well as tons of storylines just going nowhere or being rather pointless. See, I don't know. Here's the thing about Discovery. I think there were moments in Discovery that worked. I totally disagree with people who are bashing Michael Burnham or the actor, because I think her acting was amazing. That's something I will not see eye to eye with people, and I think she was one of the best aspects of the show, her acting in particular. Maybe the character could have been written better. I didn't really like the whole thing with her being the outcast. That seemed a bit forced and contrived, but the acting was amazing. But the story writing, yeah, as I said, like when I was talking about season 3 of The Expanse having a bad structure, it's actually nothing compared to Discovery season 1. This plot structure in Discovery season 1 is horrendous. Like it took 9 episodes to just meandering around, not really doing anything, and then all of a sudden it jumped. Now the Mirror Universe, I did like. I think the show did improve once it got to the Mirror Universe. I think that was done very well. But that whole reveal of Lorca, I think it was really stupid. I think it was really cheesy. It was a very badly paced season. They could, if they condensed it into shorter episodes, got more to the point and more to the heart of the characters, I think it would have worked better. So did it have some storytelling issues? Oh yes, it most certainly did. But I don't think it always. Sometimes it did really work. It had some strong character moments, particularly once we got into that Mirror Universe. But anyway, let's see. The reverse. Well, I understand continuity errors. Sometimes you have to stretch disbelief in order to tell better stories. Continuity is included in that, but Discovery is a mess on all levels. Honestly, I think Voyager's worse. I said this already. I don't think Discovery is as bad as many people hold it up to be in terms of continuity. That is. James says the reverse. To be fair, Next Gen season 1 was quite trash. Well, okay. Yes, it was. But again, Discovery Next Gen got better. Maybe Discovery would get better too. You don't know. Let's see. The verse says. God, I'm really far behind in your comments. Sorry. Anyway, the verse says Ron Moore and the writers of Deep Space Nine made the Dominion more like World War II, even though it doesn't even make sense in order to make a better story. Discovery writers aren't doing that. Well, Obviously, Discovery is not as good as Dominion War are. Come on now. Of course not. But it has room to improve, I believe. Quack Addict says, hi, I love these live streams. Hi, it's good to see you, Quack Addict. How you doing? Picard versus Kirk says, are you going to follow Amazon's Lord of the Rings series? I'm going to watch it. Whether or not I'll review it depends on how much time I have, but I'm definitely going to watch it. Happy Tuvok Tuesday. Is it Tuvok Tuesday, or is it just because Tuvok rhymes with Tuesday? It's Wednesday for me, by the way, because I'm a day ahead of you. Time travel and all that. But anyway, yes. The verse says, Game of Thrones just isn't as deep as it feels. I like entertainment that actually has interesting things to say about society and humanity, like Trek. Well, I'll have to disagree with you there, too. The reverse, I think Game of Thrones has a lot to say about modern society. But another topic for another time. It's extremely well made, but it feels hollow to me. Well, not to me. So, again, I agree to disagree. Picard versus Kirk, the music score in The Leftovers is really good. That's an understatement. It's amazing. Reviews my videos. I don't understand what that means. I am true. Looks like what is it? I am no troller. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Don't worry. There we go. Cool. Anyway, where are we at now? Okay. Are you happy or sad that Star Trek 4 has been shelved? Well, you might have made that comment before I covered this topic of of Star Trek 4. I don't know. I'm kind of happy that it's been shelved. Because as I said, I think the Kelvin timeline needs to die. Although I've heard like the rumor that Star Trek 4 would have erased the Kelvin timeline. So if that was true, that would be even better. Let's pretend this whole Kelvin thing never happened. If they did something like that, that would probably be the best case scenario, in my opinion. But I'm not too broken up that the Star Trek 4 has been shelved as long as they continue onward with the TV shows. Again, I want Discovery to continue because I think it has the potential to get good. I am very much looking forward to this Picard show. I think this has the potential to be awesome. Hopefully they don't squander it, and it's not like how I felt when I saw the first episode of Enterprise, where I was like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't know. Kurtzman has a poor record. But still, Patrick Stewart said that he wouldn't have gotten involved unless he was enthusiastic about the material. The fact that he is enthusiastic about the material does give me some high hopes. I actually like the concept that they're doing all these different kind of Star Trek shows. I think it's a good idea, as I said before, because it's appealing to different various facets of the Star Trek fan base. So, yeah. So, in other words, as long as the TV show thing goes forward, I'm fine. Get rid of the stupid Abram verse. I never really liked it in the first place. I did like Beyond. I did really like Beyond. I think Into Darkness is not as shitty as many people claim it to be. 2009 is a lot shittier, but everyone seems to hold that up with high praise, which is one of the world's mysteries to me. But anyway, I'm fine with it. I want more than anything in the world to see this Tarantino Star Trek movie. People are speculating on whether or not that's going to go forward. Now, I will be so disappointed, so incredibly disappointed if it doesn't go forward. This is what I want to see more than anything else in the world. I want to see this Tarantino cover Star Trek because he's an awesome director. He's an auteur, and I think he'd do Star Trek justice. A lot of people are like, oh, he's going to have gangsters on the bridge and chopping people's ear off and saying the N-word. Those people don't fucking understand Tarantino. They don't understand true directors. That's not what a Tarantino Star Trek would be like. I want to see it more than anything in the world. But anyway, another topic for another time. Let's see here. Okay, I feel like Lost is still the most complex TV show of all time. It has a giant range of genres, moods, characters, personality, themes, not to mention the nonlinear storytelling. And I agree, and that's why I still really like Lost. That's why I'm going back and reviewing Lost. That's why I still hold Lost in high esteem, even though a lot of people were saying, well, the ending sucked. They didn't know what they were doing. They're introducing all these mysteries. They were just making up as they go along. Why do you still like that show? And it's because of all the stuff you said. Despite the fact that it had a horrible ending, despite the fact that they introduced all these mysteries just because they look cool and they didn't have any actual real idea on what they were going to do with them, it's still an amazing show with great characters, great non-linear storytelling. It's very imaginative and comes together in a way that most shows don't. But because of the flaws, I can't say it's one of the best shows of all time. Although it's still my top 5 probably, but it doesn't, not my top 3. Anyway, the reverse says Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the best superhero movie in a long time that I've seen. Fandom Descent says it was a good film, saw it almost 2 weeks ago. I'm not a big fan of the duo who made it. They made the Lego movie. Actually, Into the Spider-Verse is one of the topics I planned on talking about that I got derailed into all this Star Trek talk. So let me actually cover that now, Into the Spider-Verse. Because I was actually going to talk about that because I saw that a couple of weeks ago. And if you see my top 10 movies of the year, you know that it didn't make the list. It almost made the list as an honorable mention, but just barely. So it was like number 14. I liked it. I thought it was a good film. I did enjoy it. It was interesting seeing the different versions of Spider-Man, but I think it's probably, I don't really get why people love it so much. I certainly don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie. I mean, I've heard several people say that it was better than Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, does Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse have Michael Keaton giving an awesome, amazing performance as the everyman villain that you can relate to? No, it doesn't. So it's not the best Spider-Man movie. Sorry, it's not. Homecoming is much better. But I would say that Into the Spider-Verse is probably my second favorite behind Homecoming, but that's not really saying much because I never liked Spider-Man. I never liked the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Certainly didn't like those amazing Spider-Man abominations. So I never even liked a Spider-Man film until Homecoming. So to say it's my second favorite is not really that high praise, but I still did enjoy the movie. I just don't see what's so great about it, to be honest. Maybe you have to be a fan of Spider-Man. You have to be familiar with all these different characters. Like, I was familiar with Spider-Ham. I remember reading the Spider-Ham comics when I was a kid, so it was kind of cool seeing him. But I think my issue with the movie is that none of these other characters, like the Spider-Ham or the Nicolas Cage, and I'm sorry, you're getting Nicolas Cage to voice the noir Spider-Man, whatever his name was. I can't think of anything but Nicolas Cage. Every time I hear his voice, I'm like, that's Nicolas Cage Spider-Man. It's Nicolas Cage. It's Nicolas Cage. So I don't think that was actually the best choice for voice actor because I can't think of anything other than Nicolas Cage. But all those characters and the anime Spider-Man, whatever, that was weird. Like, they weren't fleshed out very well. They were just there all of a sudden and like this. All right, spoilers for Into the Spider-Verse, but the scene where that robot thing died, it seemed like you were supposed to be sad. It seemed like you were supposed to feel sorry for him and supposed to be, oh no, it's a sad moment. But I didn't give a fuck because I barely knew this character. It was just some weird like monster thing robot thing just popped up out of nowhere and was never really developed or expanded upon. So I didn't give a fuck when it died. And so I wasn't really emotionally invested in any of the characters other than Miles Morales, because I will say they did do a good job of getting you invested in Miles Morales. But the issue I had with his character story was that, and I heard some people say this as a good thing, that the film didn't even have him come on into his own and become a hero until the very end. And some people say, oh, that's a great thing because most films that will become a hero, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man became a hero right away. Honestly, I would have preferred that. I found the way that it stretched it out. And I was like, oh, it's about fucking time he learns to be Spider-Man. And it's the whole coming of age, oh, I'm learning to be a superhero. I've seen, like, that's a very cliche story I've seen thousands of times before. So that aspect of the film actually frustrated me. I didn't think it see it as a positive. I saw it as a negative. But as I said, don't come at me. I still like the film. I still think it was really had me invested. It was really interesting. The character was two dimensional too, but it's a cartoon. It was a cartoon film. Of course, it's a cartoon film. It's a cartoon movie. But yeah. So it was an interesting movie. I like the animation and some of the character stories worked. As I said, they developed Miles Morales very well. But I don't see it as the masterpiece. I just don't see it as the best superhero. My opinion, the best superhero movie of the year was Incredibles 2. Come at me. Anyway, another cartoon. Anyway, let's jump back in the chat here. Crack Addict says, I would like to see what Tarantino would do with the board. Well, the reason why I'm really looking forward to a Tarantino movie is because he says he was inspired by Yesterday's Enterprise. And Yesterday's Enterprise is, of course, one of the best Star Trek episodes of all time. So it sounds like he understood it and would do something in the same vein, and he's an amazing director. So please, please, please let him do it. Anyway, I'd never seen Person of Interest. I was almost going to watch it. It was really daunting because there's like 9 seasons of that or something. There's like 25 episodes per season. Oh, that is so daunting. Patrick Stewart wasn't also enthusiastic about the redneck buggy racing while his fine racers added permanent aliens on the desert planet in Nemesis. No, he wasn't. I don't think so. Not in the same way. It's not an apt comparison. All these people try to dismiss, like they say, "Oh, Patrick Stewart's a poop emoji, so he's not picky about what roles he takes." But this, if you listen to interviews and what Patrick Stewart had to say, he was very different about this, and he was being extremely picky about this because he didn't want to come back as Picard. It's a totally different situation than Nemesis, where he was already Picard and they were slated to do another Star Trek movie. So, of course, he'd do another Star Trek movie. You can't compare that situation to this situation where it's been 20 years and he's put the Picard character to rest. He wanted nothing to do with the Picard character, but they had to entice him to come back with a good story. But again, maybe this Picard show will totally suck, and I'll end up being wrong, and I will end up being shown that Patrick Stewart isn't so picky after all. But I would vote against it. My money would be against the Picard show being at least passably good, that they had to convince him to get back. That's where I'm placing my bets. We'll see how the chips fall. Anyway, let's see. Matthew says, I just thought that season 6 of Game of Thrones began the trend with the plot armor and the teleporter and really broke the show for me, although there are some good moments in the 6th season. I mean, okay, maybe season 6 is where the teleporter started getting bad, but not as bad as that. And the trend with the teleporter has been in season 3, sorry to say. Season 3, season 4. Season 4 in particular, I think, had worse teleporting than season 6, in my opinion. Season 7 is just where the teleporter got out of control. It's like to make jokes about it's a teleporter, ha ha ha. I start the story, whereas in season 7, it did hurt the story because it just got out. My opinion. The verse says, I feel like Mark would drop POI at the first aspect of so much. I just don't at that time. Matthew says, damn it, go back to it. This is my favorite. Desmond, Hurley, Lucia. I forgot. I'm forgetting a character. So many good characters in the show. Oh yeah. One of my favorite characters, definitely Desmond. Can't think. I like Claire actually. I'm a huge Claire fan. I think she's a real underrated. Oh no, fuck. The stream's fucked up. Okay, am I back? Hold on. All right, can you guys hear me again? Am I going all good? Okay. Am I back? Let me know in the chat if I'm back. I know if there's a bit of a delay. Tell me if I still have an issue going with the roboting or whatnot. Seems like I do. Screen quality is bad. Okay. Well, hold on. 1 second. I'm going to have to go try to fix something. Bear with me. Okay, can you guys hear me, see me? Everything okay now? Everything all up to spec? Please let me know in the chat. Was the Orville is way better than what Cardinal Doomsday? Was the Orville way better than? Everything is all good now? Okay, cool. Good to know. Let me try to address some of these things I was addressing. Sound is completely fine. Screen quality is a bit better too now. All right, cool. Great. Let's see. I was saying my favorite characters of Lost were Desmond. I think Claire's underrated. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe Ben. It's interesting to hear you say that Ana Lucia is your favorite character because a lot of people hate her. I liked her. I wish they would have kept her around longer. Yeah, Mr. Echo is too cool, but I don't know if he was. Maybe Locke. I think Locke would be one of my favorite characters. Probably. Anyway, the reverse says, damn it, Mark, I will come at you for not precisely aligning with my opinion. I know you're joking because we always disagree. We always agree to disagree. We get along great. Matthew says, I thought you got to know the characters in Lost much better than the characters in The Leftovers. I'm not sure I really agree with you there. I think the characters in Leftovers were really fleshed out too. I really like The Incredibles 2, second of all, behind the Spider-Verse. Well, fair enough. Or at least you really liked it, because a lot of people were saying, oh, this sucked. It's just rehashing the first one. It's total bullshit. The Incredibles 2 was way better than the first one, in my opinion. Anyway, a lot of Star Trek talk. I've never seen a Star Trek show. Which one should I start with? Well, Matthews, you should go to my video where I have a link to, has a list of, for if you're just getting into Star Trek, of which episodes of Star Trek you should watch. It goes in order from the original series to Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, in that order, but it gives you the 100 essential episodes to watch, so you're not wasting your time with a lot of filler and bullshit. It gets you straight to the point. So check that out. It's called The Beginner Enchantment of Eternities, or EOE's Beginner's Guide to Star Trek. So that's what you should do. Anyway, let's see here. Have you ever seen Alien Nation, the series based on the movie? I saw it when it first came out when I was young. I saw a few episodes in later years. I don't think it aged well, but I remember it being okay. It had that dude who was played in the comp in Voyager, because when he showed up, I was like, hey, it's a guy from Alien Nation. I always remember the theme song. Apparently, they would have him like yelling and like it stopped the music in the middle of the and had them screaming and yelling in his car and banging on the thing. That's what I remember about the show most of all. La 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 la. James says, I agree. I'm expecting Star Trek Discovery to improve over much time like other shows did, and I'm not saying the Picard show will be bad, just that some of the choices in the past have been head-scratching. Yeah, but I think this is different than some of the choices he made in the past. I'm not saying he's always been picky, but I'm saying he's being picky now. Hopefully. We'll see. Hopefully. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much caught up on the chat now. Let's see. Shameless plug. So you didn't tell me Colonel Doomsday. Easy, Mark. I only finished season 2, episode 16 at 7 a.m. your time. Okay. Right. Oh, because you don't want me to give away spoilers. Oh, I gave away a spoiler. Sorry. My bad. I didn't even realize that. Sorry, Cardinal Doomsday. Didn't realize you were in here. Anyway, let's see here. My thing says NLC is not my favorite character, but a good character. My favorite would probably be Desmond. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Definitely watch Next Generation before Deep Space Nine. You can probably watch other series out of order, though. And I would say watch all the series in order, honestly. Don't watch Enterprise first, even though it comes first chronologically, because it will give you a bad impression of Star Trek. It's not a very good show. Look, my little kitties came to make a cameo. Aw, it's okay, Blue. Here, let me give you a treat. You want a treat? Anyway, okay. What's going on now? So let's see. Now that's good service. Yeah, you should definitely check out the episode list. I would highly recommend that. Yeah, the reverse is better yet. Don't watch Enterprise at all. I don't know Colonel Doomsday. I don't want to give away spoilers about Anna Lucia, so you just watch and you find it out. James says Enterprise seasons 3, 4 are right, which I agree. That's why I wouldn't say Enterprise all up. But yeah, those first 2 seasons, oh boy. Season 3 and 4 are actually really good, I would say. Again, that's why I'm still holding out hope for Discovery, because hey, if Enterprise can get better, then maybe Discovery can too. Yes, it would be a bad idea, Matthias. It builds on the world building of Next Generation. Yeah, it does. Even though it's set first chronologically, it's assuming that the audience is already familiar with Star Trek franchise and with Next Generation and the events that happen. I want to see them make fun of the Enterprise decontamination chamber on the Orville. Actually, that would be good. That would be funny. Although the Orville is becoming less of a parody show than I would like it to be. It seems like it's trying to be more serious. Okay, since that was another topic I wanted to originally cover, why don't I just cover the Orville? So I wanted to talk about the Orville because I've been watching it. I'm not going to do a review for it until the season ends, but I've been watching it. I've seen the first 3 episodes, and I gotta tell you, I'm not liking season 2. I've heard some other reviews. People were saying, "Oh, this show's amazing." I'm getting a real Enterprise vibe with the Orville. For some reason, it's reminding me of season 2 of Enterprise a lot. I don't know, just the feel where it feels like bland. It feels like it's not good. I didn't like the first 2 episodes that much, to be honest. The 3rd episode was okay, where we had a Star Trek reunion. We had the Doctor fight. We had the Doctor from Voyager fight Dr. Phlox from Enterprise, which was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Sure, you noticed that. But it was good seeing, Robert Picardo and John Billingsley playing those aliens. But Ilaria is my favorite character on the Orville, and I heard rumors that she was quitting the show, and I hoped that those rumors were false. And when I saw her in the first couple episodes, I was like, oh, thank God, she's still here. But no, they got rid of her, and that honestly pisses me off. It pisses me off. Now, maybe some of you in the chat know if there was something behind the scenes, the actress wanted to leave or something like that. I hope it's not them just trying to emulate Next Generation, because this is female security chief leaving early in the show like Tasha Yar did. I wouldn't put it past them. It seems like they're just copying everything Next Generation did. Probably not the case. Maybe it was an issue with the actress or whatever, but I love that character. I was like, no, don't kick her off the show. She's the best part. Oh, yeah, by the way, spoilers for the Orville. Probably should have started with that. But anyway, yeah, I'm very bad at spoiling stuff today in the stream. I'm sorry. But yeah, that pissed me off. I wasn't happy with it. I don't know how excited I am to watch the rest of Orville. I'm not really digging season 2. Maybe it will get better, as I say, but I certainly don't see it as a better Star Trek show. I think that's total horseshit. But covered that a lot in many other videos. Let's see. Colonel Doomsday says I'm getting a TNG Voyager vibe. All right. Well, it does rip off TNG a lot, so I can see that. The reverse says I'm getting a Diet TNG vibe, so Voyager vibe. Okay, whatever. You guys are crazy. Anyway, yeah, Enterprise was a ripoff of a ripoff of a ripoff. Yeah, sounds like you're talking about the Orville, mate. Ha! Anyway, Matthias says my least favorite Lost episodes are some of the episodes from the 6th season where it meanders on the island and the Sideways. Oh, fuck the Sideways, but try not to get into too many heavy spoilers for Lost, because Cardinal Doomsday is still in season 2. He hasn't got up to 6th season yet, but boy, howdy does the 6th season suck. It sucks. It is bad. But anyway, my opinion. Most people's opinions, too. Colonel Doomsday says the Orville airs here. I'm caught up. Okay, cool. You're caught up, so I'm not spoiling. But I could be spoiling it for someone else who's not caught up on the Orville. So I do apologize if I have. Anyway, let me... Well, Enterprise was a ripoff of Voyager, which was a ripoff of TNG, which was a ripoff of the original series. The Orville is bad, though. Oh, really? You don't like the Orville? I thought you did. I'm surprised. I wouldn't say the Enterprise was a ripoff of Voyager, which was a ripoff of TNG, which was a ripoff of the original series. I'm saying the Enterprise was a ripoff of the original series. And that's why it sucked. And it was like a bland studio-induced, or at least the first two seasons. As I said, it got better in the third and fourth, but it was like a bland story by committee version of the original series that took out all the fun and all the stuff that made it good and just made it original boring and stupid. And look at us, we have ratings. We took the word Star Trek out of the title and we put a shitty ass fucking pop song as our theme song because we want you to watch a show. And look, Archer says ass. Isn't that cool? Fuck the first two seasons of Enterprise. Fuck him. Fuck him. Anyway, off topic. Oh no, Colonel Doomsday. It says, I saw Fire and Water last night. Was that hell? What the hell was that? That, my friend, is one of the worst episodes of Lost. I think it's number 2 worst episode of Lost. My brother thinks it's number 1. He put that as his number 1 worst episode of Lost. So yes, what the hell is that indeed? So don't let that put you off Lost, though. That's not stereotypical of Lost. It does get better, but yeah, that episode was awful. It sucked a lot. The verse says, no, I hate Family Guy, not a fan of Seth MacFarlane. It's just as bad as Discovery, if not worse. Well, that is an interesting opinion to hear you say. I don't hate the Orville. It's weird now. I have a higher opinion of the Orville than you do. That's strange. But anyway, it's weird because I agree, though, with Seth MacFarlane. I was never a fan of the Family Guy. And I think having himself be the captain was a huge ego trip. I can't really take him seriously. That's a really huge hindrance on me watching the show. Is I don't buy him as a Starfleet captain or Union captain. Why do they call it the Union instead of the Federation? That's dumb. Anyway, Colonel Doomsday says, I do a lot for you, man, but Fire and Water, dude. Well, dude, you'll thank me when you get to the rest of Lost, which is really good. But yeah, that one episode was horrible. Oh, Matthews thinks Fire and Water is the worst. Well, I think it's the second worst. So, Colonel Doomsday, fair warning, there is an episode coming in season 3, which I think is worse than Fire and Water. Season 3, episode 9. Beware. I think it's worst. My brother had it number 2 and thought Fire and Water was number 1, but these are generally considered the 2 worst episodes of Lost. So there's one more of them coming, but for the most part, you got amazing stuff coming, so look forward to it. Let's see. The verse is not a great person per se. He has a bad temper and a vindictive streak, but a well-written one. Are you talking about yeah, I know, because the Federation's copyright, but they could have come up with something better than union. I mean, that makes me sound like a union, like workers' rights. It doesn't, I mean, couldn't they come up with the Alliance or something better? Or I guess the Alliance Mirror Universe, and they didn't want to, but they still could have come up with something better than union. That's a shit, whatever. Anyway, let's see. James says, I thought that Cisco character as written was great, as performed less so. I agree. Yeah, you'll be surprised how many people have complained when I did my top 10 actors of Star Trek. A lot of people. I got tons of comments, people saying, where's Avery Brooks? How come Avery Brooks isn't on this list? And the first couple of comments I got, I was like, because he's a bad actor. but then I had like floods of so many people like him. And in fact, I had one person said to me once that I was doing a Star Trek review years ago on Phil the Issue Guys, his channel. We were talking about In the Pale Moonlight, and one of his regulars, where they was like, Mark's dead to me because he doesn't like Avery Brooks acting. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry I'm dead to you, but he's not objectively a good actor. I'm sorry. Like, anyone who knows anything about actors, I'm a novice. I'm not an expert by any means. I have studied the art of acting. I have directed a few plays, a few short films. Again, novice, not a professional, but still it's something that I know a little bit about. I've studied I've heard expert opinion on what makes good acting. And Avery Brooks is what we'd call a theater actor. He's not a movie actor or a television actor. And I want to do a whole video about this, actually, because when he does over-the-top acting, he's really good because he's a theater actor. He has that theatrical, like when he does the Mirror Universe Cisco or like the James Bond villain or stuff like that. He plays any sort of crazy person over the top. He's amazing. He's awesome. But majority of the time, he's not doing that. Majority of the time, he's playing a normal dude. And he's very bad at that. He's particularly bad at speaking normally because when he's having like a normal conversation about station procedures, oh, how's the station going? Kardashian has an appointment here. When he's talking to Kira and stuff, you hear the cadence in his voice, and it's obvious that he's acting. It's obvious. It sounds like someone who is rehearsing lines to say, which is not good acting. Good acting is you sound natural. And I noticed there's, working with actors myself, there's certain kind of actors, some who are good at the over-the-top theatrical. In fact, I'm like that. I've done a bit of acting myself, and I suck. So I kind of notice it in other people, too, that suck at doing the normal acting because I'm really over-the-top as well, over-actor. And when it comes to just normal speaking, I'm not very good. And so I can notice that in other people as well because I see my own weakness is that when you do the cadence of blah, 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 it sounds like he's reciting lines. It doesn't sound like natural dialogue, where if you compare it to good actors like Count Meany, who does that kind of normal, oh, I have to repair the techno-bubble nonsense, and he sells it and he buys it and you buy it because he does a good job, because he's a good actor. He's good at doing the normal, mundane, everyday conversation. Avery Brooks is not. Therefore, he's not a good actor. So screw the people who are thinking he deserves to be in the top 10 acting, unless you are objectively wrong, my friend. Anyway, let's what? Matthew's Stranger in a Strange Land is not that bad. It's pretty boring, but not. Oh, yes, it is. Come on, Stranger in a Strange Land is the worst episode of Lost, hands down. Come on, get you're crazy. It is worse than Fire and Water. It's horrible. Anyway, I'm talking about Benjamin Lafayette Cisco, Mark. Yeah, isn't that who I was talking about? I'm confused. James says Avery Brooks is not only good when angry or shouting, which is totally no Cisco has written 99% of the time. Exactly. Oh, he's not good. I think he was good. I don't know. Sometimes when he did the yelling, he was a bit over the top. He was good when he did the crazy version, like the episode where he got taken over by the telepathic thing, and he was like, a clock! Like, he was very good at that. When he's playing someone who's supposed to be crazy or over the top, he was good. But when he was playing Cisco, when he was angry or shouting, he did seem over the top sometimes. You didn't really buy it. Like, I'm watching the 5th season at the moment. There's a 5th season episode I was watching just the other day where he was yelling, oh, the ship, when they're trapped in the ship, and he's like, we're tired. Again, you can see the cadence in the way that he recites his lines, that even though he was yelling and being over the top, you can tell he's acting. But anyway, it's different. Theater acting and film acting, anyone who's been involved in theater and film will know there's a huge difference. And you can't do theater acting in film or television. It just doesn't work. It's a totally different medium. Like, theater is supposed to be grandiose, and it's not supposed to be realistic, where film and television is supposed to be realistic, and it's supposed to be normal every day. Anyway, let's see. Avery Brooks is great in parts and really not great in others. I thought he was great in The Pale Moonlight. See, that's where I disagree. I actually thought that he was bad in The Pale Moonlight. I think that I still love that episode. I think it's one of the best episodes in the entire Star Trek franchise. So I don't think he was bad enough to put the episode down. Don't get me wrong. But I do think he was the worst part of the episode. And the episode would have been better because, in particular, like, again, the yelling moments he had in that episode, especially his log entries. I think that's what really brought it down. I think the episode would have been better if it wasn't for his log entries, because his acting was really bad in the log entries, in my opinion. Where he was like, "I just one day," like the way he like totally didn't buy it. I totally did not come off as realistic. It felt like over the top acting, which is what it was, my opinion. Anyway, Far Beyond the Stars, I do think he was better in that episode. Actually, I do think he was really good in Far Beyond the Stars. I will give you that. But towards the end, when he was doing the over the top again, that fit with his character because his character was going insane. Again, so as I was saying, Avery Brooks does insane well. So I think he was really good in that episode. So I will give you Far Beyond the Stars, but not in the Pale Moonlight. I think he was the worst part about that episode, honestly. Let's see. Colonel Doomsday says he does have a tendency to chew carpet. Avery Brooks, and it grates after a while, at least to me. Yeah. And I totally agree. He would have made a great Klingon. Well, I just watched Apocalypse Rising where he played a Klingon, and I agree. Actually, he did do a good job as a Klingon because they're supposed to be all over the top, loud things. But yeah, I gotta write my review for that. I shouldn't be on here talking to you guys. Anyway, what else have we got? God, a lot of comments. I think I might have to go after I get through these comments. I lost my train of thought. Where's my spot? The reverse, you're getting off on another topic now. I don't get the hype for The Wire. Completely agree. If you watch, I did a video called my top 5 most overrated movie or TV shows of the 20th century, and The Wire was number 1. I did like the show. I did not think it was bad, but I do not think it is anywhere near as good as everyone says it is. Just my opinion. Yeah, Chad L. Coleman was on The Wire, yes. Who's saying, I can see Chad L. Coleman has been great Cisco. Actually, that's a good point. I do think, he's really good as Fred Johnson. And Fred Johnson's kind of a similar, like my brother even made comparisons between Cisco and Fred Johnson. So I think I definitely agree with you there. Let's see. Matthew says, I didn't really enjoy The Leftovers second to last episode. They stretched the premise too far. I thought International Session should have been standalone. Wow. Completely disagree with you there, Matthews. I think the penultimate episode of The Leftovers was the best episode of the entire show. I thought it was a masterpiece. I loved it. Got totally opposite view. In fact, I was just thinking this morning about how I didn't really like the finale of The Leftovers with Nora, and how I have some issues with it. And I think it would have been better if they were more, metaphorical, more open-ended. I think what they did with it was kind of dull. And the way Kevin Garvey was acting in the episode was like, oh, I don't know who you are. Like, that was really stupid. So I didn't, the more I think about it, the more I think I didn't like the finale of The Leftovers. But the penultimate episode was a masterpiece. It was amazing. I did like an hour and 15 minutes in that episode alone. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to heavily disagree with you. Anyway, people acted like The Wire was the greatest thing ever. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then Matthias says The Leftovers has the best ending ever. Okay. After The Sopranos and Mad Men, I gave up on Mad Men before I got to the end. That show just bored me. And Sopranos I never watched. I heard mixed things about the ending, but yeah. You already heard, I already covered, I didn't like the ending of The Leftovers. Anyway, James said that he was good when he was shouting. Okay. No, it was my mistake. I probably misread it. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. I like when Avery Brooks yells at everyone, you betrayed your uniform. Well, that line in particular I thought was not well read. I thought that was a bad line, but this is my opinion. I never saw Spencer for Hire, so I couldn't say if he was any good on that. Matthew says, wow, I didn't think it was your favorite episode, Mark. Haha, your thoughts about the last episode. Yeah, we're pretty much reversed from this. Okay, so I'm finally caught up in the chat, so I think I might bring this stream to an end. I didn't cover all the topics I wanted to cover because I kept getting sidetracked talking about Star Trek and Game of Thrones, mainly Star Trek. But that's all good. That's what I cover on this channel, and that's what you guys want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. Oh, the one thing I did want to throw out there is my counterpart, Quick Review, is doing very well on my channel. It's probably mostly for people who aren't subscribed for my channel, so probably not any of you. But I haven't started season 2 of Counterpart yet because it's not on in New Zealand, and I don't want to watch it illegally. We're getting it a bit later. It's on a streaming service I'm not subscribed to at the moment because it's too expensive and I don't watch anything on it. Game of Thrones is on there, but I'm not watching it at the moment. So when Counterpart season 2 hits that service, I'm going to probably subscribe to it again. $12 a month just so I can watch Counterpart. But I know it would be easier if I just pirated it, but I don't want to. But yeah, that's why I haven't watched Counterpart season 2 yet, which is a shame. I know it's been on for several weeks or several months in the US, but I'll have to wait till I get it. And Night Flyers, the new George R. R. Martin thing on the Sci-Fi Channel, I heard it's not any good. Again, we haven't gotten that in New Zealand yet. That's coming directly to Netflix. Anyway, hold on 1 second. Cat opened the door. Anyway, what else was I going to cover? Let's see. Also, I was wondering, with you doing a couple of top 10 videos for The Expanse, how would your 5-ish Expanse episodes look? Well, I'd have to give that some thought, James. I was going to wait till The Expanse finished, or at least got further along before I did a top 5 or top 10 episode list. But off the top of my head, well, Home's number 1. That's easy. But number 2 is harder. I'd have to give that a lot of thought. Maybe Triple Point might be my number 2, actually. But number 3 or 4, yeah, that's hard. I'd have to give that a lot of thought. But definitely some of these... the episode where Bobby Draper runs across to defect to the UN, that would be pretty high up. I think it's called Here There Be Dragons. So a couple episodes towards the end of season 2, maybe It Reaches Out from season 3, or what's the other one? Oh, Dandelion in the Sky. That made it quite high on my end of the year episode countdown, so that might make my top 5 list. And the finale of season 1, maybe not the finale, but maybe episode 8 when they go to Eros. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to have a look. Or what's it? CQB at Close Quarter Combat. That might maybe make my top 10 at least. Maybe not top 5. But anyway, let's see. Colonel Doomsday says, help me get the image of Hurley as John the Baptist out of my head, please. How many streamers do you subscribe to, Mark? I don't know. I'm not sure. Not many. George should finish The Winds of Winter already. Yeah, of course he should, but he won't. And James says it's quite similar to my preferences, actually. Yeah, so we're pretty much eye to eye. Yeah, I mean, what else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about Bird Box. Yeah, I mean, that movie's okay, I guess. That's my final verdict on it. It's okay. Everyone making such a big deal about it. They're buzzing about it, internet buzz, and a lot of reviews I saw said it sucked. I don't think it sucked. I think it's a fairly standard horror apocalypse movie. I think. And it's probably better than a lot of horror apocalypse movies, in my opinion, because I did really get a strong feel for the characters. I did care about the characters. And I usually don't like horror movies where the whole thing is about there's a group of people and they all die off one by one by one by one until there's only one or two people left. That format really annoys me. But there are exceptions to this, of course, like Aliens, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But whenever I see that format, it kind of irks me because it's just such a cliche format. But actually, it didn't bother me in Bird Box, to be honest. I actually thought it kind of worked. But a lot of people were saying that the format, the storytelling device was very bad because it gave away the ending. It took away the suspense. I'm not sure if I completely agree. I think it did hinder it a little bit, and maybe it didn't need to be there, but I don't know. I did have a lot of issues with that ending, or at least how they got there. I mean, the ending itself was emotional. I must admit to shedding a few tears, but how they got to it, I didn't buy. And the monster in the film was a generic plot monster because it did whatever. What were the monster's motivations? What were the monster's abilities? What could it do? The answer to all those questions is whatever the plot required. And so that's a bit annoying. But I didn't think it was a horrible movie. It wasn't great, but it was fine. If you want to watch it, if you're into horror apocalypse shit like that, then sure, go ahead and watch it. But otherwise, yeah, whatever. Don't really waste your time unless you got nothing better to do. Whatever. That's my review of Bird Box. Let's see here. As the whole 10 Little Indians thing, I haven't heard it referred to as that before Carnival Doomsday, but that is interesting. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this stream now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Anyone who stuck through to the end of all this technical difficulties and shit I've been having, I'm not going to bother to edit them out. I can't be bothered. I'm just going to post this up as it is. Warts and all. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this stream. Just pour out some of my random thoughts on whatever. And as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I will be back in about a week and a half. I'm doing a live stream. Matthias, I expect to see you there doing a Lost. I know Carnival Doomsday, you'll be there, of course. You're getting through season 2 of Lost, so you can be there. But I'm doing a Lost live stream with Darren from D's Reviews. When I'm talking about the first 2 seasons of Lost, there will be no spoilers beyond season 2. So as long as you've seen up to the end of season 2, we're going to try to keep free of spoilers past season 2, just for you, Carnival Doomsday. I'm sure there's other people who are watching Lost along with me because I'm doing my reviews of Lost. I release them every 2 weeks, so hopefully you're checking those out as well. I'll make an announcement for that live stream when we get closer to the date, but basically it's not this weekend, but the next weekend. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I don't know what the starting time is, Carnival Doomsday. I'll get back to you on that. I can't remember. I have it written down somewhere. I think it's like noon my time or something like that. Yeah, anyway, which for the U.S. you would be more like 7 p.m. if you're watching in the U.S., but I'm talking about Carnival Doomsday. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm out now. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.